You don't think you deserve to stand next to us, do you? The air was thick with the scent of barbecue, and the backyard table was crowded with brightly colored salads and homemade drinks. Neighbors scattered across the lawn, laughing and chatting, while my daughter Sophie and I were clearly pushed into a corner. My mother's sharp gaze cut through me like an invisible current. My father sat in his lounge chair, beer in hand, coldly watching us as if we were a mistake that shouldn't exist. My sister, Aisha, and her husband, Alex, stood by their children, smiling toward us, as though checking that we remained in our proper place, on the margins, awkward and small. "Sophie, pour out that juice." "That's not for you," I heard my sister say in a deceptively sweet yet biting tone. Her 9-year-old daughter, Lena, chimed in, eyes flashing a habitual little malice. I grabbed Sophie's hand, pulling her closer to me, whispering, "Don't mind them. We just look after ourselves." But my voice felt faint and meaningless in the carefully orchestrated coldness surrounding us. At that moment, I realized again this wasn't just a normal family gathering, it was a meticulously planned exclusion. My sister's children always received the best toys, while Sophie and I had to make do in the leftover corners of fun. Every time I complained about my mother's favoritism, she'd simply snort and increase her indulgence of Aisha. My father habitually used his authority to crush me, a constant reminder that I would never belong to their ideal family. I had learned to endure, but today, something about the unfolding events sent a chill down my spine. Lena's eyes landed on the chocolate cookie in Sophie's hand, and a small scuffle ensued. The plate slipped, and crumbs scattered across the grass. Sophie held the plate tightly, her voice low, "This is mine. You have yours." Lena's face flushed red as she grabbed the plate's corner, sending cookies flying onto my sister's pristine white dress. Screams erupted across the backyard. Aisha rushed over, scooping up Lena, her eyes slicing toward me like knives. "Make her apologize." My mother immediately joined, pressing my arm down with icy strength. "You don't deserve to protect her. Learn to yield." My father stood, pointing at Sophie. "You dare talk back? Apologize now." My heart sank, and I instinctively shielded Sophie, trying to protect her from bowing in forced submission. But my father moved faster than I anticipated, grabbing Sophie by the shoulders. My hands were restrained by my mother and sister simultaneously. I struggled, but it was useless. Then he unbuckled his belt, a threatening motion that made me gasp for air. I watched in horror as the belt struck Sophie's small body, the first hit landing on her back, her scream tearing through the air, pain cutting through me like a blade. The second, third strikes followed, each one leaving a mark on my heart as much as on her body. My mother kept ordering me to shut up, while my sister praised my father's discipline. All I could do was try to shield Sophie with my arms, screaming, "Stop! Don't," until she finally lost consciousness, collapsing on the grass. I lifted my head, realizing everyone around seemed oblivious that this wasn't just a quarrel, it was child abuse. My father panted heavily, my mother and sister maintained their cold expressions. Alex stood by, phone in hand, his eyes empty, seemingly recording an event rather than stopping it. I knew staying here would only hurt Sophie more. Summoning every ounce of strength, I scooped her up and ran to the car, tears mingling with rage and fear. The emergency room lights were harsh, but at least no one here was indifferent. Medical staff swiftly took Sophie in, examining every mark. Dr. Helena Fisher was calm and professional, handling each injury with care. She looked at me and said, "She needs your full support, it's key to her recovery." I nodded, choking back my own emotions. "I will protect her. No one will hurt her again." In that moment, a silent vow formed in my heart. The anger and helplessness I felt would not end in tears alone. My mother, father, sister, and brother-in-law, they believed they could trample over my protection, but I now had the power to fight back. I had never forgotten my past. 20 years ago, I was the child humiliated and sidelined by my own family. My sister's achievements and talents always won my parents' praise, while my every effort was met with ridicule. In elementary school, I'd stand at parent-teacher events holding my small awards, unnoticed by my mother, whose gaze lingered solely on my sister's trophies. My father yelled at me for every failure, and my sister stood smiling at his side, as if I didn't exist. I learned to endure and conceal my anger, but the desire for justice never left me. As an adult, I fought to carve my own life. I became a registered nurse, working long hospital shifts while attending night school to earn my degree, raising Sophie on my own. Every evening, heating a simple dinner in the microwave, seeing Sophie's innocent smile reminded me we were strong enough. The bias and humiliation from my parents could not stop me. These experiences taught me that when true justice was required, I had the ability and responsibility to act. My plan for revenge slowly took shape. My father's abuse, my mother's coldness, my sister's complicity, and Alex's passive observation, all lines were clear. I contacted lawyer Beatrice, renowned for her work in child protection cases. She swiftly analyzed the situation, advising both criminal and civil action. I gathered evidence, retrieving hospital records and video footage, documenting every detail. Beatrice told me they must face consequences for their choices. I nodded, a calm, determined fire igniting within. In the criminal trial, I testified step by step, narrating the events. Videos showed my father's abuse, my mother and sister's collusion, Alex's recording without intervention. The prosecutor mercilessly exposed the facts, leaving the courtroom stunned. My father argued it was traditional discipline, my mother claimed she was trying to control the situation, and my sister called it a necessary lesson. But the evidence left no room for excuses. The jury deliberated only 90 minutes before sentencing, 5 years for my father, 20 months each for my mother and sister, 9 months plus fines for Alex. Following that, Beatrice pursued civil litigation. We claimed all executable assets and financial compensation, parents' property, retirement funds, and my sister and Alex's assets. 6 months later, the court awarded $90,000, covering medical bills, therapy, lost income, and punitive damages. My parents sold their home, their lives collapsing. My sister and Alex's marriage fell apart, their luxury gone. Sophie and I moved 3 hours away, rebuilding our lives. Sophie began therapy, her nightmares gradually diminishing. She joined the soccer team and made new friends. Our home was safe, peaceful, and filled with love. Years later, when my mother attempted to reach out under the guise of reconciliation, I calmly replied, "Sophie is my family. You hurt her, I will never forget." I hung up, severing all contact. In our new life, we found safety and peace. Their fear and helplessness were magnified by legal and social consequences, while Sophie and I finally basked in our own sunlight, undisturbed by the shadows of the past.